Hey, TGIF. Happy Halloween, y'all. Oh, this is the first drink I've had in wow, over a week and a half. Yeah. Yep, it is Friday. It is Halloween. I started work at 3 o'clock this morning, and so yeah. It's now a little after 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I just got home. Anywho, I have had a pretty decent day. Last job was a little bit weird. And I had one job where it was kind of like sketchy. And they had a guy out there direct, like kind of stopping traffic and whatnot. And I'm like, that is fucking pointless. Why are they not using the shoulder to escape on? Right? So I get to the job. I'm in the second truck. First truck crosses both lanes. It's 2-lane, right? Like state road type of thing. He crosses. It's kind of busy too. I mean, it's like 3-4 cars, then 3-4 cars going either way, 3-4 cars. And you get a break for maybe like a minute, and then 3-4 cars, shit like that. It's not a quiet, lonely country fucking road. It is very active, right? So I'm watching, and I'm like, he's fucking nuts. Why did he do that? Why didn't he just kick his ass tight, grab the shoulder so he doesn't disrupt, And here you got the dude out there in the middle of the road stopping people. Why? He could have stood out there and just been like, slow down because we need a little bit of extra room, to maneuver, but no need to, stop 2 lanes of fucking traffic. Oh my God, it was absolutely stupid. So he gets out of there. I get up there. I pour out. I use the shoulder. I don't stop both lanes of traffic. I literally flag them. Come on around. There's nothing behind me, Dudes trying to keep the flow of traffic going. Not to mention there was emergency going on, and something might have been coming that way. I was not getting in the middle of that chaos, blocking a fucking ambulance because I'm pulling out of a job kind of thing. Or blocking traffic and the ambulance is way the fuck back there. He can't get by because they got everybody stopped because of us. Anyway, varying scenarios that I could go on all day long. Anyway, I use the fucking shoulder. I'm a little bit over the fog line, but it's enough to let people, and I don't move until the traffic clears, right? That way, I can get up to where I need to wash out, and I'm not bothering the world doing this. Anyway, I sit for, 40 minutes or so because it's kind of a distance getting there, and yada yada. Anyway, I pull up, and I'm like, who in the hell is driving that truck? Because it's an old truck, right? And he's pouring out, and I'm like, I wonder who drives that. I don't know. Anyway, so I'm entertaining myself, and I'm on the phone. And like waiting my turn, talking to another buddy who's up in Kentucky. He's pouring out shit up there. So him and I bullshitting, and then I'm like, oh my God, I gotta go. And he's like, why? I said, this silly fuck, who trained him? Nobody. He was with a trainer for like maybe 2 days, and the trainer trucks broke down, and they put him in a truck and sent him on a pump, and he's been like flying by the seat of his pants ever since. The pump operator was trying to help this guy, having seen how I did it, right? Trying to get him to cut it tight enough to grab the shoulder of the oncoming traffic. So he'd be on the shoulder this way, and the traffic would be coming this way, but they had enough room to get by him, right? That kind of thing. Fucker wasn't listening. So he finally gets out of the, he did all sorts of fucking whacked out shit. I was like, oh my motherfucking God. That's when I called up the dispatcher, he's a batcher in the dispatcher for that region, because he's pretty much his own entity over there. He's kind of like all by himself. And I call him, I was like, what in the fuck is going on with this truck? He's, oh, that's so-and-so. And I was like, did anybody train him? And he's like, not really. And he gives me the spiel about the breaking down training trucks and all this other crap. I was like, holy shit, he needs to go back to training. He's like, that bad? I said, well, he either go back to training or he needs to stick to the subdivisions where it's safe. This shit, He's like, what'd he do? I said, I'll have to draw it out for you when I get there. But it's fucking wacko. And I said, and he doesn't listen. He wasn't listening to the pump guy who drives a truck just as big as ours. Right? And he wasn't listening to the other guy who was conducting traffic all around. So the pump guy was doing them a favor. I don't know where the other dude went that was actually... And I was like, yeah, just get out of the way. I got this. You know. So the old man that was kind of filling in for the other guy that I shoot away, he was like, you good? And I'm like, yeah, I got this. Go. And because I'm sitting there like, what the fuck is this dude doing? I had to jump out of the truck and be like, get on the shoulder. He didn't know what to do. He was flustered because the trucks aren't close enough together and he's not seeing, like when he got there, the other truck was gone. All he saw was a fucking project and a pump. That was it. There was no other truck there. They were already gone. So he's not seeing how to steer these trucks. He does not know where the off-track marker is on these trucks. You know, how wide the corners, how short the corners, and how tight you can actually back these trucks up. You can back them up tighter than you can pull them in forward. I mean, it's kind of a magical thing. Anyway, so the old dude, I get done and I get out and I was like, that's the difference between 3 months and 10 years. He's like, I'd say 2 weeks. I was like, yeah, it was pretty bad. He goes, that was pretty bad. He goes, you smooth. I said, now I'm going to kind of hook it wide. I'm going to back up enough to get me facing so I can wash it out. I said, I'm not going to obstruct traffic. I may have to pull out there, but they don't need to stop for me. I can wait for them. It's only a couple of trucks and it'd take me like 3 seconds to get in enough position. He's like, fair enough. I said, I don't want you getting hit by a lunatic. Well, anyway, a van pulls up while I'm nosed out. I was going to pull out, but the van pulled up and they slowed down. And I was like, oh, just come on. I got this. And she's pointing to the chute. And I was like, yeah, it was way back behind the fog line. It's just perceptions of distance. And yeah, it looked like it wasn't. But anyway, she flipped me off. I was doing you a favor. Right? I was just like, no, go ahead and go. I got this. No, I want y'all out of the way. And I'm going to go ahead and do my thing. And yeah. She flipped me off. I got flipped off for doing somebody fucking being nice. Yeah, no good deed goes unpunished, I guess. Anywho, so there was that. But the other job that we had this morning, that one was kind of squirrely, only in regard to, he was loading us too dry, and I called him and I was like, yeah, he's like, what? I was like, well, I got to this last job. It was a pump job. I said, they had some bulkheads and stuff and they needed it on a 4. I said, the rest of us, they're pouring this shit. They're calling it a 7. It's actually like an 8.5. He's like, gotcha. I was like, yeah, so don't worry about wetting it up. I said, just put whatever the recipe says. Don't take any water out. Just leave it alone. If it's close to 5, that's fine. If it's wetter than 5, it ain't gonna matter because we're gonna have to wet it up to an 8.5. And if it is an 8.5, it's gonna grow because it's got the accelerator in it. So you're safe today. He was like, good to know. I was like, yeah, just hit the button, batch it up. So anyway, that was actually, you know, the pump job where dude had screwed up. But the other job this morning, I don't know what he was loading us decent, and I was like, I know the ticket says a 5, but you were loading us out on a 7. He said, yeah, because the contractor called and said just load them on a 7 or 8. We're gonna wet it up anyway. And he was like, okay. He said, but for ticket's sake, that's what the office needs to see. And he was like, fair enough. So yeah, he was loading us cool on that one. So we had 2 out there, 2 at the pump. And then I did, I got more loads in today up there than I've gotten in out of my plant all week. That is pretty pathetic. Honest to God. I'm not impressed with my plant manager right now. The one batch guy that he's got, I like him because he drives, right? So he's kind of like doing dual duty going on. But this one, he is just, he sends us a text earlier that says, yeah, there's a safety thing over at the other plant. And I'm like, what the fuck's that got to do with me? It ain't at my plant. What do I care? I ain't going over there. I ain't driving my personal vehicle over there. And I ain't going to get routed there unless dispatch is absolutely desperate for bodies. Yeah, that's the only reason he would send me over there. He's like, they got some gargantuan pour and he can't get trucks to return fast enough. He'll, hey, pop over there. I need you to run a couple out of there. I know you hate it, but just do it. And I'll be like, okay, I got you, man. Because I love you. Because you my buddy. Because my dispatch, I'm telling you, the guy is like, he's family. Yeah, that's how long I've fucking been here. Anyway, but this other manager, they hired him off the street. He's never drove. He didn't know shit about the mixes. He doesn't understand how they travel. He doesn't understand the trucks in a general capacity of what it is, what they need, the attention they need, and he does not understand that a lot of us drivers we feel like we're in a crunch. Like, I know my dispatcher is trying to shit shuffle drivers with loads, and it turns into, yeah, it's like throw the confetti in the air and hope it all lands in one spot. That's how crazy it is. Anyway, so with that being said, I actually had a good day. He had messaged me in the afternoon and he said I need you at like 3 o'clock and I need you to head north. And I was like, or east. I was like, sure, no problem. I got you, boo boo. And so that was a good day. So then I was showing the when I got back after we went through the fiasco with that one guy who wasn't trained properly. I showed him. He's like, yeah, I know the job. And I was like, okay, let me show you what was happening. I said, now he done did this and then he did this and then instead of just kicking it, I mean, he already pulled up. He could have just swung his ass toward the pump and got facing out. No. He tracked himself back. I was like, what the fuck are you doing? Here I am waiting my turn, right? And they're waiting for concrete because this guy is taking a half an hour to get off of the job just to get me in. He was like, oh my God. I was like, yeah. The guy does not know how to maneuver this truck. He's like, how long did you train for? I said, I rode around with my trainer for about 2 weeks while my truck was getting worked on. The one that they were going to give me. They were checking all the airlines, making sure all the tires, everything was spick and span on it before they gave it to me. Make sure everything was acting right. I still ended up going back over there and getting shit fixed. I had an air leak here and shit there, you know, whatever. But I was waiting for them to fix the brakes. They had a brake issue. And I said, so, but I said, I was in the military. I drove PLSs and LHSs, and they got bigger tires, and they kind of maneuver the same. Flat nose, you know, type of configuration, and big ass tires. And in order to turn tight, you got to start to turn early. You know, you got to cross in kind of like an angle. You can't. Let me draw this out. I'm trying to show you. This, when you got trucks with big ass weird tires, I'm making a four-way intersection. Okay? So you got a little four-way intersection, right? And your truck, that's your little truck, right? And he's got to go over that way, right? You got to cut it. I'm going to make like a little like... You got to cut it kind of like that, right? You can't do it in a sweep. Like a right angle. You can't 90 degree the fucking turn. Well, you can. It just feels funny. It's easier to start if there's nobody coming and there's nobody, you know, like, it's not a four-way stop, but it is an intersection of some kind where you can cut over. It's easier, instead of going out here like this and turning. Oh, where am I? Dirt. Okay. Instead of going out here and turning like that, you kind of cut it. And this is called the off track. Now, if this was a four-way stop or at a red light, something of that nature, in order to do this type of maneuver here, you would have to turn out this way and then hard cut this way to get your ass to clear a person sitting here at a stop sign. You see what I'm saying? 90s are impossible in this truck. It is on it like an octagon. That's how the easiest way to maneuver them. Now, what we were dealing with earlier, I need a clean piece of paper. Give me a piece of paper. I'll show you. I might need to find my Sharpie because it'd be easier to see it. We're going to draw it. Yes, this is my mixer operator education 101. Okay. Yeah, with the help of gin and juice. Alright, so what we had was a 2-lane highway. I'm going to do the dots down the middle. And it had a shoulder. And a shoulder. And then big, wide, gravelly thing. And then a pump. This is the pump. That's the basket. The rest of it is off camera. Anywho. The work job was like right here. They were pouring little slab. They were pouring little slab things with the pump. You know, kind of like all in. There was another set of them over here. And there was a space between them. You know, there was a space over here. But this next door neighbor was actually like a bar. And there was a big, huge parking lot. And they had let us use it in order to be able to get off the road, set up stage, and, you know, be available kind of thing. So here I am sitting. I'm over here in the parking lot. This is me. Me over here. Sitting there watching this kid Now, what the kid does is he backs up this way into, there's a bobcat right here. It's just to show you where the culvert is going to be. But he backs up and then he drives this way. And I'm like, no, 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 no. That is soft. That is all fill dirt. He is going to sink his truck. And then I do not have chains on my truck. And then I'm going to be tasked with pulling this dumb fucking ass out. Anywho, so I get out and he still ends up coming out and going into traffic. He does not need to do this. He could have got the truck tight and turned in, and he might have been over the fog line just a tiny bit. And here I am. I pull out I'm on the shoulder, and I'm staring at him like, see, you can fit. See? Yeah. Get your ass back on the shoulder, let me into the job, and then you can pull up. And then literally, he could have pulled up along on the shoulder far enough, and then literally like kicked, if he weaved into the parking lot, nosed into the traffic just a teeny bit, backed up, and then nosed over to the washdown. Because literally where I was sitting, right here, this is where they wanted us to wash out at. See how fucking kooky that is? Yeah. It was kind of kooky. But this guy has not been driving long enough to understand that if he had just thought about it and looked at stuff while they were taking a break, while they were riding and stuff, got out and looked and said, I bet you anything, if I weave this out enough, I bet you I can get onto that shoulder, and that way I'm not disrupting the flow of traffic. I can still get over there because I got enough room in the parking lot to do a swing, a back up, and a pull up. He did not look at it. I did. I sat on the shoulder on the other side behind the first truck, literally strategizing before I even pulled over to the parking lot. I was waiting for traffic. So I sat there watching traffic and strategizing how I was going to do this. This is why we train drivers. I don't care if they've been driving 18-wheelers for 20 fucking years. This is a completely different monster. Completely. I've done OTR. I hate it. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. Pretty much for the same concept and dynamic. All of the facilities where they want you to back up into, they want you to back up into this teeny tiny fucking spot with no room to pull up. It's almost impossible. You have to be a pimp having been driving 20 fucking years to know how to maneuver that shit without thinking about it. Rookies, literally, these fucking big companies like Swift, Schneider, whatnot, they don't think, all right, that facility's fucking tight as shit. They don't know. These DBLs don't know. They don't know what you're running into and how much, and then it helps them make money because they're getting the freight load, but the driver ain't making shit. And the longer the driver struggles to get into the hole, even though they show up on time, doesn't mean they can get docked. Yeah, I ran into a couple of jobs. I was like, I can't do this. He's like, really? I said, no. The fucking guy here and you're not, they put you there. I can't get between you. I don't have enough room. There's no room in this fucking parking lot for me to get in there between you. Now, I could go to that other door. I've got plenty of room to work with over there. But getting threading the needle right here ain't gonna happen. The guy that was next to me, he worked for the same company. He jumped out. He's like, let me try it. It took him 20 fucking minutes. 20 minutes. While he was already set up and docked and locked in and getting unloaded, while he was doing that, he jumped out and he drove my shit and got it took him 20 minutes. And he was experienced. I said, how long you been working with them? He's like, oh, about 10 years. I said, this is fucking crazy. He's like, they shouldn't have sent you to this. I said, no, I think it's kind of like that concept. If you look at like the nefarious shit that employers do, they try to soft fire you. They try to put you in compromising situations to discourage you so you'll quit. I'm too fucking stubborn. But what that job didn't, that particular situation isn't what made me quit. What made me quit was their GPS being completely backward. Yep, I was supposed to be heading south, and the GPS had me starting to head north. And trying to turn around on that stretch of area, oh God, I would have been 20 miles before another fucking exit. It was that bad. And I was running out of time. I needed to get somewhere to park. I was so fucking angry. I was like, no fucking way did they do this shit to me. Yeah, and it was a GPS. I was like, nope, y'all fucked up. Now, there's a buddy of mine that I had gone through training with. He had called me. He was like, you're never going to believe this. And I was like, really? What happened? He's like, you remember so-and-so? And I was like, yeah. He goes, they have him running up here, and he is hit 3 with the GPS, following their fucking GPS because he doesn't want to go out of route, right? He has ran into low bridges 3 fucking times. I'm like, no shit. He's like, yeah. He's like, he's had to call the state troopers to come in and help back him up. Or block traffic to get him turned around. To get out of it. Yeah. The GPS sent him that way. Yeah, you're wondering why these 18-wheelers get caught in these fucking hinky, compromising fucking situations? Yeah, the GPS is sending them that way. GPS almost sent me that way one day. And I'm in a mixer. I'm not in an 18-wheeler. I don't have fucking pivot. You know, I'm not 2 pieces. I'm one solid 40-foot piece, right? We had a detour downtown Nashville that we had to go to this thing. And my fucking GPS was like, oh yeah, you're going to go down. I'm like, the hell I am. I ended up calling dispatch. I said, yeah, we need to do something about this GPS. Next time we do a safety meeting. He's like, why? I said, because this fucker wanted me to go down 8th Avenue North. He's like, you can't go there. I said, I know. There's a train trestle that's only 12.6. He's like, good girl. I said, yeah, I just bypassed it. I just kept going. I figured I'm going to end up going through the neighborhoods. That's basically what I'm going to do. He's like, yeah, at least you let me know. I said, no, we got to fix that. I said, you're going to get a rookie and you're going to send them down here one day and they're going to be stuck. He's like, there's nowhere to turn down there, is there? I was like, no. You back it up or you stuck. He goes, isn't there a side street? I said, yeah, but there's nowhere to maneuver. That side street is barely wide enough and they got people parked there. So there's nowhere to fucking kick your ass back and get turned around and go back the way you came. I said, the parking lots are so tight. I said, there's a little cafe there on the corner. I said, that parking lot is always full because they're fucking awesome. I said, there's no way to get turned in there either. He's like, wow. I was like, yeah. I know that road by heart because that's where my dealership is for my bike. I said, that's the only reason I saw that. And I was like, oh, not today there, genius. I don't want to go anywhere near that side of the fucking city. Because that's not the only one. Driving these is not easy. Doing my job is not easy. There's a lot of, not just contractors. I mean, shit, I had one today. I was like, oh my God, these motherfuckers are going to send me to the cuckoo camp. I called up the dispatch of that thing. I was like, I was like, am I in the right spot? I was like, it's a street over. He's like, yeah, it's that big. I was like, holy crap. You mean the circus? He goes, yeah, the circus. I said, do they have clowns driving midget cars? And he started laughing. I said, no, seriously, dude, this is a mess over here. This is like straight up Beirut. He's like, yeah, I'm not surprised. He goes, I had to call. I was like, oh, so you got intel. He goes, yeah. He's like, you can get in and out of anything. Oh, thanks. Anywho, so I get up there and they're like, they got somebody parked in the way right in front of where they want me to start. I was like, I can start over on that end. I don't have to go left to right. I can go right to left. I've been to Iraq. I understand. It's not that serious. But they wanted us to go left to right, which doesn't make any fucking sense at all, because it doesn't fucking matter. No matter how you leave there, you've got to back out when the light is red for the oncoming traffic to get your ass going, and you're going to end up having to go around the fucking block in order to get back to the main highway anyway. Because there ain't no way to cut across traffic when you got 2 lanes of fucking people stopped at a red light on the other lane, which is the direction that you came from. Yeah. You do what you gotta do. Anyway, it was a good day though. Yeah, it was funny. Shit rolled out on 3. The guy's like 5 gallons. I'm on the phone with my mother. My mom's like, so what's lump is it? I said, a fucking 3. She goes, what'd the meter say? Because she knows my job, right? Her and I gab. She goes, your meter say it was a 3? I said, fuck no, the meter said it was a 5. She's like, Jesus. She goes, now the struggle is real. I said, the struggle is real, Ma. So she was telling me about her agenda this weekend. She wanted to know if I needed her to come clean tomorrow. And I was like, no, you're good. Just let's wait till next Saturday is fine. While I'm at work. Come on by. That way I'm not in your way. Anyway. I do not know what I'm going to do, but I think if I end up staying in, which I probably will, I think I'm going to just whip out my Practical Magic and my Underworld CDs and entertain myself with some sci-fi and pleasant, gory stuff. Yeah, I am not a fan of Saw. We're not doing that. We're not doing Scary Movie. We're not doing Halloween. We're not doing Friday the 13th, any of that. No, I think I'm just going to stick with the fun and the spooky. Yeah, that's my agenda. I don't even have popcorn. I may have to call a friend and be like, bring popcorn. I got the beers and the gin. Bring your juice. Bring your own juice if you don't like grapefruit. But that's what we're doing today. Y'all, take care. Peace out.